It's Worldview Wednesday.
Awesome. So the question that we were asking people today, what are your thoughts on abortion?
Well, that's a very interesting thing because I do have my thoughts on it. I would say is it should be available as an option. Whether or not someone chooses to do it, that's their choice. But we need to have as many options as we can in life. Limiting science by personal beliefs, I don't agree with that at all.
Okay. What are your thoughts on abortion specifically?
I think it's to each their own. I know different cultures think it's wrong, and I also believe different cultures will deal with abortion differently. But I know abortion that's given on a safe basis instead of, as like old other ways that were detrimental, like someone would put a potato up their vagina in order to prevent pregnancy, and then they would have complications through that, or the hanger. I mean, I think making it safe and sanitary is a need, but it's really to each their own.
Okay. What do you mean by safe?
Well, I guess when a pregnancy or just sexual health in general provides a problem for the mother's health, I guess.
So the question we're asking today is, what are your thoughts on abortion?
I think abortion is too political, and it should be more towards the science side of it. I'm definitely pro-choice, no thought about it. I think people that say well, I'm only pro-choice with rape cases, I think that's kind of ironic, I guess the word would be.
What do you mean by ironic?
I can't think of the word, but if you don't think that somebody could do it like just a normal person, then why is it okay with the rape case? Because with the rape, it's unwanted and it could ruin their life. But what about if we conceived a child and we don't want it? It will ruin our lives. The child will have a life compared to if it's a planned regular child. And also, I don't think it should be an option if you wait too late. You should know instantly if you don't want the child when it's not considered quite a child yet. I don't know the exact week dates, but
Okay, so our question for today is, what are your thoughts on abortion?
That's a great question. Personally, I'm pro-life because I'm a believer, and from the very inception of the idea of having a child, there's a life that's been planned. So, yeah. Yeah, from the beginning, it's a life. It's a person that could grow up to be anything that they want to be.
When does life begin?
That's a very philosophical question. I think it depends on how we define life, and everyone's opinions are different on that. I don't know. For me personally, when you come out and the doctor spanks your butt, you're alive.
When do you think that life begins?
Life begins, I feel, as soon as the wife, she gives birth to a baby, and the moment when the father, he touches the daughter for the first time. I mean, that specific moment is that distinguishes all the happiness in the world for both husband and wife, and that I believe makes the moment.
Obviously, there's a lot of people who are very passionate about it, which, I mean, understandable. It's a very sensitive issue, but I don't know. It's a life, and there are other options than just terminating it.
What would you say is the most compelling argument for the pro-choice side?
I would say just having options. Just because you have the option to do it doesn't mean you have to do it, but by taking it away, you take away other people's ability to choose.
Yeah, what do you think is the most compelling argument for being pro-life?
That's a good question because I mean, there are compelling arguments for pro-choice. I mean,
What do you think that'd be?
well, in the instances of, assault or sexual assault or things like you're not ready or all of that, you can consider to be a good reason. But at the end of the day, ultimately, the best reason, in my personal opinion, is that there's a human, you're not giving it a chance. There's a lot of talk, especially in 2019, about everyone has a choice. Well, that child, that person, that human, that life doesn't have the choice to grow up, to be alive.
What would you say is the most compelling argument for, would you categorize yourself as pro-choice?
I would say that, yes.
Okay, for your position.
Well, I guess the most compelling argument would be what's the quality of life for the child that's going to be born, really.
Okay. So that brings us back to, I keep bringing it back to this question, the central question, what is the unborn? Just because you have poor quality of life, if I'm no different than the unborn child, can you kill me because I have poor quality of life?
Well, I guess we could go. I mean, your mother could kill you? Is that the...
Could my mother kill me?
See, no, because of the judicial system, but I mean...
Has our judicial system ever been wrong?
Yes, but I guess we could say people who are impoverished have less rights than people who, I mean, as you can see, people who have more power over a culture would be able to have more control over what happens in their life.
Okay.
And then people who are impoverished probably can't have that same amount of power.
What's the most compelling argument for the pro-choice position?
Oh wait, let me think. Well, I mean, why not? As long as it's safely done, from the start, and you have good reasons, good intentions, and you take precautions ahead of time, like using protection and things along that line, instead of just being irresponsible with it and just thinking, oh, I can use plan B or get an abortion, things like that.
So you would say that cutoff should be implemented. Why? Why should it be implemented? Is it because the unborn's suddenly human at that point?
I think you're trying to get me to say it's human at that point, but I think it's because more so you should know. You should have the intentions for that. And again, I would have to look deeper into it about the certain dates because, like I said, I'm coming at it from this scientific point of view. I'm a bio major and that type of thing.
Would you like me to say what my thoughts are?
Yeah.
Okay. So I wouldn't say that I'm personally pro-choice. I wouldn't say that.
Trying to push me to say certain
I wouldn't
things.
say I'm personally
What is human?
pro-choice. And
It's
the
alright.
one, no, I mean we can have
I
these
still love you.
we can have these conversations and still get along. That's why we're
Yeah.
out here today. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
Not
Like, I
we're not
respect
just
your-
we're not just pushing you because we want you to go to some specific end. We're just pushing you to see what you have to say, to hear your thoughts, and then ask questions back because we think it's important to know what you stand for. So yeah, I wouldn't say the phrase that I'm personally would not have an abortion, but I can't stop anybody else from having it. The one
That's
reason.
beautiful. That's
No, I wouldn't say that phrase.
respect.
I wouldn't say that phrase. Here's why. Because I think that the central question of the abortion debate is what is the unborn. So that's why I think it's important to establish that. And I love how you were focusing on the scientific side of it because that's extremely important. We need to know what is the unborn if the unborn's human. Because if it's human, well then we can't kill it. If it's not human, then there's no problem with it.